Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, great to welcome back the chair of the Otaki Community Board, Chris Papps. A very good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, John, and good morning, listeners.
Before we get on to business, I believe that the golf club has been inundated with tourists recently.
Yes, we had a big vets tournament there last week, and normally we get over 100 entries, but with COVID and Aucklanders not being allowed out of Auckland, we didn't get any of the Auckland entries and the Northland entries. But despite that, we still had about 68 entries in the field, and we had about 15 camper vans, caravans staying at the golf club, which was great for the Otaki community because, of course, they went and spent at our local stores, and the Wednesday was an off day, so they travelled around. I recommended that someone go to Riverstone for lunch, and they went down there and thoroughly enjoyed it. And they just had a wonderful, wonderful week, and we were really, really lucky with the weather.
Great.
Sunny Otaki lived up to its reputation. We had a bit of rain, but we only got rained on once playing golf, and it was only for about 10 or 15 minutes. So the weather certainly did us proud.
Incidentally, these camper vans are very interesting. It's a thing in Australia for small country towns, many of whom are really struggling these days, particularly with the drought that most parts of Australia seem to suffer from far too often, that these small country towns offer free parking areas, free camping areas for camper vans, and they make the camper vans as welcome as possible because most of them are grey nomads, you know, they're in their retirement years and they're wandering around the place and they've got time to spend and they've got money to spend, and it keeps the local economies going. So it's very much what you are talking about, but it's become a bit of a movement in Australia, and I think it's got potential for this country as well.
Oh yes, and it's amazing. Like these people that came to the vets tournament, they travel around all the vets tournaments. They spend about 20 weeks away from home, some of them.
Yeah.
They just travel around the country, North Island, South Island, doing these week-long tournaments. They were heading off to Levin for the next one this week. And, I mean, it's good money for the golf club. We charge them $15 a night, but that means they can use the showering facilities and everything like that, which is great. And that's good income over the bar and through the kitchen, and it's just a lovely, friendly week. And so these people, they love their golf and they just travel around the country,
good on
spending
them.
money in the areas they are at, and it's great for the local economies.
Absolutely, and they're having a whale of a time as well, which is pretty important. Okay, on to business. The beach bylaw. I believe that there is a meeting coming up to let people know, well, actually to find out what people think at this stage, isn't it?
Yes, well, we've got a briefing at council tomorrow, so we'll find out a bit more about it then. I have been to the public meetings on it, and there's a lot of arguments one way or another. You know, some people want cars allowed on the beach, other people obviously don't. Some people want horses on the beach, some people don't. Longline fishing, of course the fishermen want to do that, and some people don't want that. So it's a matter of you're going to have to please everybody with this huge coastline here that surely if we do it correctly, we can make everybody happy and allow for all types of recreational things to happen on our beach without interfering with each other. It's a huge, huge space, so we should be able to share it with everyone.
Are you proposing a kind of a zoning system?
Well, I don't know. I think that might be almost an idea that perhaps the longline fishermen go in one area and you can drive down and park up your car so that you can go swimming or whatever. Because the problem is if you're not allowed to take your car down onto the beach, well, this is just my personal opinion, what's going to happen is that in the summer, people are going to, with their families, going to be parking their cars at all these entrance ways to the beach where people live. Yep. And they're going to be blocking off people's access to their own properties. So what's the worst case scenario there? That is going to have all this traffic congestion at the entrance to the beaches. So I don't know. It's up to the council staff to actually work their way through the submissions and everything, and they will get put to the council meeting, and we'll see what happens. But it's a huge beach, and I think so long as people respect it and don't go zooming their cars up and down in the sand dunes and it's trail bikes and that are probably the worst offenders for that. And unfortunately, the council do not have any. They can't actually do any legal enforcement with cars out on the beach. It's a police issue.
That's right.
And our police up here do not have a four-wheel drive, so they can't actually get down there to enforce it either. This is the big problem. And I think if they do it properly, it will be self-enforcing. These days, with cell phones, with cameras and movie facilities, people are not going to get away with doing awful things down there. I think the general public will police it themselves, but we'll just have to see what happens. And as I say, it would be a shame for people not to be able to use the beach how they've been used to using it in the past.
That seems to be the way the Kapiti Island Marine Reserve is policed. Lots of people with cell phones and binoculars who keep an eagle eye, and they seem to be up with the play there. Chris, level 2, of course, in terms of COVID-19 response, how is it affecting your community board meetings?
Well, if we're still at level 2 for the next meeting, the seating will be spaced out to allow for social distancing. And our board, we actually require the grant applicants to come and actually submit on their grant application, because we feel it's important, especially if it's a child, that they can't just expect mum and dad to fill out the form and come and get rubber stamped and they get some money for it. So, and I think it's a very good educational role for him to come along and actually do that. But sure. while we're at level 2, we are not going to enforce that rule. So if it's still level 2 for our next meeting, they won't have to come and present, and we will just do the grants. But I think once we're out of that, we'll be back to them coming and presenting, because as I say, I just feel, and the rest of the board do too, that it's something that you actually should come and actually present your case, because we read these grants and sometimes we look at them and think, oh, no, we're not too sure about that. But when the person comes and presents, you can ask them a couple of questions and you can get a whole different idea about what they are asking for.
That's right. And some people are challenged being able to write a proposal that they can speak to, particularly answer questions. Often people are much more comfortable because it is their subject. They do know what they're talking about. Sometimes you just can't write it down the way you would like to.
No,
so that makes a lot of sense. That really does. Now, that meeting's what? It's in a week and a bit, isn't it?
I think so. Well, I've got a meeting on the 11th with our group manager to go through the agenda, and it's normally the week after that.
So make it something like the 18th or something like that. I was just thinking it's highly likely.
It'll be a Tuesday anyway.
Right, okay. So it's highly likely that we'll still be in level 2, one would think. But we'll have to wait and see. And of course,
hopefully we're not. But
I don't know. I'm very conservative about this sort of thing. This is a nasty bug, Christine. We've got to do everything we can to try and contain it. And the odds are against us, frankly. The odds are against us. So let's do all that we can. Well, Chris, this has been great. Thank you very much for your company this morning. Always appreciated. You're always welcome. Chris Papps, Chair of the Otaki Community Board. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, John.
106.3 Beach FM.